Explain how behavioral assessment can identify and address a dog's fear-based aggression. What steps should a trainer take during the assessment process to ensure an accurate understanding of the behavior? Answer. Fear-based aggression in dogs typically arises from fear, anxiety, or lack of socialization. A trainer conducting a behavioral assessment must first create a neutral and safe environment for the dog. The process starts with observing the dog's reactions in stress-free situations to identify baseline behavior. The trainer should then introduce mild stressors such as a new person or a controlled dog encounter to observe the dog's response. Key signs to look for are avoidance behaviors such as cowering or retreating, and subtle signs of aggression like stiffening, growling, or showing the whites of the eyes. The trainer should also observe body language cues such as a lowered tail or ears indicating fear or discomfort. A trainer should gather detailed information from the dog's history, owner, and any past trauma. Once the assessment is complete, the trainer can begin desensitizing the dog through gradual exposure to triggers paired with positive reinforcement. Counter conditioning. Positive experiences can help alter the dog's fearful response. Understanding fear-based aggression is key to using humane methods like LIMA, least intrusive, minimally aversive protocols, ensuring a safe and effective approach for both dog and handler. Describe the primary behavioral red flags trainers should monitor during an evaluation and their implications for safety and training outcomes. Answer. Behavioral red flags in dogs include signs of fear, aggression, and anxiety. These behaviors should be closely monitored during an evaluation for both safety and effective training. Common red flags are resource guarding, dogs exhibiting growling, snapping, or biting when protecting food, toys, or space indicate a strong territorial or possessive behavior. This often requires careful handling and specific training techniques like counter conditioning and desensitization. Reactivity. Dogs that lunge, bark, or show aggression towards stimuli, such as other dogs or people, may struggle with impulse control. This can impede socialization and is a sign of heightened anxiety or fear. Avoidance or shutdown. If a dog freezes, hides, or refuses to engage with its environment, it could be overwhelmed by stress. This suggests that the dog may need a gradual approach to training with low-stress environments. Unpredictable aggression. Sudden aggressive behavior without clear provocation could point to underlying medical or psychological issues. It's important for the trainer to rule out health concerns before continuing training. Maria owns a 2-year-old border collie named Max who consistently destroys furniture when left alone. Maria has tried increasing exercise and leaving toys out, but the behavior persists. She is concerned that Max may have separation anxiety. Based on this information, how should the trainer assess Max's behavior and what initial steps should be included in a training plan? Answer. The trainer should start by observing Max's behavior when left alone. Video footage or an in-home visit would help determine if signs of separation anxiety, such as pacing, whining, or destruction, occur when Maria is absent. To confirm the diagnosis, the trainer should rule out other potential causes like boredom or lack of physical activity. The trainer's first step should be gradual desensitization. Begin by leaving Max alone for short periods, starting with seconds to minutes and gradually increasing the duration over time. Pair these separations with high-value rewards like puzzle toys or treats, creating positive associations with being left alone. Additionally, counter-conditioning can be used to teach Max to remain calm during departures. The trainer might suggest using calming tools such as an anxiety wrap or pheromone diffusers. Introducing a structured routine with predictable activities can help reduce anxiety. Training should also involve teaching Max relaxation techniques such as settling on a mat. Discuss the benefits and limitations of using puzzle toys for cognitive enrichment in high-energy breeds. Answer. Puzzle toys are highly effective for mental enrichment, especially for high-energy breeds, as they engage the dog's problem-solving skills, providing both mental and physical stimulation. The benefits include mental stimulation. These toys encourage dogs to use their problem-solving abilities to access hidden treats or food. This keeps their minds occupied and reduces the likelihood of boredom-induced behaviors like chewing or excessive barking. Behavioral enrichment. Regular use of puzzle toys helps prevent the development of anxiety or stress-related behaviors. Dogs with high mental energy, such as border collies or German shepherds, benefit from these toys by channeling their drive into focused tasks. Increased engagement. Puzzle toys can prevent dogs from becoming lethargic, particularly when physical exercise isn't feasible. However, there are limitations. Over-reliance. Puzzle toys cannot replace the need for physical exercise, especially for high-energy dogs. They must be paired with regular physical activity to avoid weight gain and frustration. Potential frustration. Some dogs might become overly frustrated with difficult puzzles, leading to destructive behaviors or even giving up. The toys should be appropriately matched to the dog's skill level. Safety concerns. Poorly designed toys may pose a choking hazard if the dog chews them into small parts. Puzzle toys should be used as part of a comprehensive enrichment strategy that includes physical exercise and socialization. Why is it important to adjust training techniques based on a dog's behavior profile? Provide examples of mismatched techniques and their potential consequences. Answer: adjusting training techniques based on a dog's behavior profile is crucial because each dog has unique emotional and behavioral needs. Training methods that don't align with these profiles can cause frustration or exacerbate undesirable behaviors. For example, a fearful dog should not be subjected to harsh correction-based methods like shock collars or physical punishment, as these can heighten anxiety, increase fear, and worsen aggressive behavior. Conversely, a highly energetic dog may not respond well to overly gentle, calm techniques that focus solely on relaxation, as these may not meet the dog's need for stimulation and engagement. An energetic dog, like a working dog or hunting breed, may require high-intensity, task-oriented training that engages their drive. Training them with overly calm, passive methods could result in a lack of interest and reduced motivation. For example, trying to teach a border collie known for its high energy and intelligence using low stimulation activities may lead to disinterest and undesirable behaviors like destructive chewing. Training techniques must be adapted to each dog's temperament and needs to ensure effective and positive outcomes. How can trainers effectively monitor and adjust a dog's progress in a training program? Answer: effective monitoring of a dog's progress involves consistent evaluation and adjusting the training plan based on the dog's performance. The first step is to set clear, measurable goals for behavior modification, such as improved recall, reduced reactivity, or better leash manners. Trainers should track these goals regularly to assess the dog's progress. Recording observations in a detailed behavior log helps the trainer document both positive and negative outcomes of each session. The trainer should assess whether the dog's responses align with the goals and adjust the techniques as needed. If the dog is making progress, the trainer might introduce more complex tasks or longer training sessions. If progress stalls, the trainer should review the approach to identify any potential issues. For example, the dog might need more breaks, less intensity, or a slower pace to feel comfortable. Trainers should also consider environmental changes or shifts in the dog's physical health that could affect performance. Additionally, ongoing communication with the dog's owner is essential for monitoring progress outside the training sessions. In some cases, adjustments may involve introducing new techniques, modifying rewards, or shifting the focus of the training to address emerging challenges. Explain the concept of mental stimulation and its role in preventing canine boredom. Answer: mental stimulation refers to activities that engage a dog's cognitive abilities, keeping their brain active and focused. This form of enrichment is critical for preventing boredom, especially in high-energy breeds that require more than just physical exercise to stay content. Dogs, like humans, can suffer from mental fatigue and frustration if their environment lacks stimulating challenges. Mental stimulation prevents unwanted behaviors like destructive chewing, barking, or digging, which are often signs of boredom. Engaging a dog in problem-solving tasks or providing enrichment toys such as puzzle feeders, interactive games, or scent work can help keep the dog's mind occupied. For example, hiding treats in toys encourages dogs to think and work for their food. By incorporating a variety of stimulating activities into a dog's routine, trainers can reduce stress and anxiety, which are common side effects of boredom. Activities like obedience training, scent games, and interactive toys help prevent the mental stagnation that leads to undesirable behaviors. Overall, mental stimulation should be seen as an integral part of a dog's well-being, alongside physical exercise and socialization. Alex, the trainer, is working with Lucy, a 3-year-old Labrador retriever who frequently pulls on the leash during walks, causing discomfort for her elderly owner. Lucy's owner is concerned about her behavior. How should Alex assess Lucy's pulling behavior, and what specific steps should he include in the training plan to address it? Answer: Alex should begin by assessing Lucy's pulling behavior to understand its intensity, frequency, and underlying cause. He should observe whether Lucy pulls towards specific stimuli, such as other dogs or people, or if it's an overall habit. And Alex should also assess whether Lucy's pulling stems from excitement or frustration, as this can guide the training plan. The first step in the training plan should be to teach Lucy to walk on a loose leash using positive reinforcement. Alex can introduce techniques like clicker training, where Lucy is rewarded with treats or praise when she walks without pulling. He should start in a low distraction environment, gradually adding more stimuli to increase the difficulty. And Alex should also incorporate targeting or look at me techniques, where Lucy is trained to focus on him during walks. Training should be short and frequent to prevent overstimulation. For walks with her owner, Alex might suggest using a front clip harness, which reduces pulling by redirecting the dog's energy. Finally, you should advise Lucy's owner to remain calm and consistent, reinforcing the correct behavior without using punishment-based methods. How can trainers use positive reinforcement effectively to modify undesirable behaviors in dogs? Answer: positive reinforcement involves rewarding desired behaviors to encourage their repetition. Trainers can use treats, praise, toys, or other rewards to motivate dogs to behave in a desired way. When modifying undesirable behaviors, trainers first identify the specific behavior that needs correction and replace it with an alternative behavior. For example, if a dog is barking excessively, the trainer might reward the dog for being quiet on command. It's important for the reward to be immediate and consistent to create a clear association between the desired behavior and the positive outcome. Trainers should also use a variety of rewards to maintain the dog's motivation and prevent boredom. As the dog progresses, the trainer can reduce the frequency of treats and incorporate intermittent reinforcement where rewards are given randomly to maintain the dog's interest. Positive reinforcement is effective for modifying undesirable behaviors because it strengthens the bond between the dog and trainer while encouraging learning in a supportive, non-punitive way. It promotes confidence, reduces fear, and enhances the overall training experience. What are the ethical considerations trainers must keep in mind when implementing training techniques? Answer: ethical considerations are crucial when implementing training techniques to ensure the well-being of the dog and promote positive outcomes. Trainers should avoid using aversive methods such as physical punishment or negative reinforcement, which can lead to fear, anxiety, or aggression. These methods are not only harmful to the dog's emotional health but can also damage the trust between the dog and the trainer. Trainers must prioritize humane techniques, focusing on positive reinforcement and motivational strategies. They should also ensure that their methods are science-based and aligned with the principles of animal welfare. The dog's emotional and physical state should always be considered to avoid unnecessary stress or harm. In addition, trainers must respect the dog's individual needs, including its temperament, history, and health, tailoring training plans to fit these characteristics. If a trainer encounters behavioral issues beyond their expertise, they should refer the dog to a qualified professional, such as a veterinary behaviorist, to ensure proper care. Ethical trainers should also communicate openly with owners, providing them with realistic expectations and encouraging a partnership to maintain consistency at home. Why is proofing an essential step in dog training, and how can it help in ensuring a dog's consistent behavior in varying environments? Provide examples of how proofing can be applied. Answer: proofing ensures that a dog's learned behaviors are maintained and reliable across various environments, distractions, and situations. It helps a dog generalize a command, meaning the dog will obey not just in the initial setting but everywhere. For example, a dog that learns to sit indoors may struggle with this command outside where there are more distractions. By proofing, you expose the dog to different environments and gradually add distractions. Another example involves practicing commands in diverse settings, such as parks, streets, or busy locations, to reinforce obedience in varied contexts. Proofing also includes varying the duration and distance of commands, such as increasing the time. A dog must sit or moving further away before giving the sit cue. The goal is to build a strong association between the behavior and the cue, regardless of location or distraction. Guideline reference: operant conditioning emphasizes the importance of reinforcement in various settings, supporting the generalization of behavior. Research shows that dogs who undergo proofing training are more reliable in real-world situations. During the critical socialization period of a puppy, 3-4 weeks, what specific strategies should a trainer use to ensure balanced behavioral development, and what are the potential consequences of missing this period? Answer: the critical socialization period is crucial for puppies to develop confidence and adaptability to the world. Strategies include gradual exposure to various stimuli such as people, other dogs, different environments, and common household sounds. Positive reinforcement should be used to associate new experiences with rewards, ensuring they are viewed positively. It is also important to prevent overwhelming. The puppy experiences should be short and manageable. Introducing puppies to different types of handling, textures, and surfaces helps build resilience. During this time, puppies' brains are highly receptive to learning, and experiences can significantly shape their future behavior. If missed, puppies may develop fear or anxiety towards unfamiliar situations, people, or other animals, leading to issues like aggression or separation anxiety. Inadequate socialization can result in fearful or reactive behaviors in adulthood, making future training more challenging. Guideline reference: the American Veterinary Society of Animal Behavior recommends early and positive socialization while adhering to vaccination protocols to prevent behavioral problems later in life. Mrs. Patel adopted a 2-year-old rescue dog named Leo, who is nervous and hesitant to follow commands. She wants to use clicker training to build Leo's confidence and teach him basic commands. However, Leo is initially scared of the clicker sound. What steps should Mrs. Patel take to address this issue while successfully implementing clicker training? Answer: Mrs. Patel should first desensitize Leo to the clicker sound by muffling it, perhaps wrapping it in a cloth, and slowly increasing the volume until Leo shows no fear of the noise. Once Leo is comfortable, she can pair the clicker sound with high-value treats to create a positive association. For example, click the sound and immediately reward Leo with a treat, ensuring that Leo connects the clicker with something pleasant. This will help him overcome his initial fear. As Leo becomes more comfortable with the clicker, Mrs. Patel can begin using it to mark correct behavior, such as sitting or lying down. She should also ensure that training sessions are short and positive, using a calm and reassuring tone to build trust. Once Leo responds positively to the clicker sound, Mrs. Patel can gradually increase the difficulty of the training by introducing more commands. Throughout the process, patience is key to ensuring that Leo feels secure and confident. Guideline reference: The Humane Society of the United States advises gradual desensitization for sound-sensitive dogs, emphasizing that positive reinforcement methods help build confidence and trust. How do breed-specific traits influence the choice of training methods, and why is it important for trainers to tailor their approach based on the dog's breed? Answer: Breed-specific traits significantly affect a dog's behavior, learning style, and responsiveness to training methods. For example, herding breeds like Border Collies are intelligent and respond well to structured, task-oriented training as they enjoy having a job to do. They excel in obedience training that involves clear commands and tasks. On the other hand, hound breeds such as Beagles are independent and driven by their sense of smell, making them less likely to follow commands in the absence of food or scent-related motivation. Trainers should use high-value treats or scent-based training to maintain their focus. Terriers, known for their high energy and strong prey drive, require short but engaging training sessions to prevent boredom and ensure they remain focused. By understanding breed-specific traits, trainers can adapt their approach to the dog's natural tendencies, making training more effective and enjoyable for both the dog and the trainer. Guideline reference: Canine behavioral studies emphasize that adjusting training methods according to breed helps prevent frustration and improves learning outcomes. In remote training, what ethical considerations must a trainer adhere to when using electronic devices, and how can these tools be employed humanely? Answer: Ethical considerations in remote training focus on ensuring that electronic devices, such as e-collars, are used for positive reinforcement rather than punishment. Trainers must avoid using shocking as a form of correction, as this can cause stress, fear, and harm to the dog. Instead, tools like vibrational collars can be used to reinforce desired behaviors by marking correct actions. These devices should only be used on the lowest setting and should not be over-relied upon, as they can create confusion or anxiety if used incorrectly. The trainer should also ensure the training is positive, pairing the remote signal with a reward like a treat or praise. Additionally, trainers should assess the dog's temperament and comfort with the device and be mindful of legal restrictions, as some regions have banned or strictly regulated the use of electronic collars. Guideline reference: The American Veterinary Society of Animal Behavior advises against the use of aversive tools and advocates for positive reinforcement-based training methods that prioritize the dog's welfare. Compare the advantages of using verbal markers versus clickers in marker training. When might one be preferable over the other? And so verbal markers and clickers both serve the same purpose of marking correct behavior, but their applications differ. Clickers offer a clear, consistent, and precise sound that dogs quickly learn to associate with positive reinforcement. This makes them ideal for situations requiring high precision, such as when training complex behaviors. Verbal markers, on the other hand, can be more flexible, especially in situations where carrying a clicker is impractical, such as while on a walk. Verbal markers can also be used to vary tones for different commands, making them more versatile in multiple dog training scenarios. A trainer might prefer a clicker when precision is needed, such as in trick training, while a verbal marker could be used in everyday training or during group classes. Both methods are effective as long as consistency and timing are maintained. Guideline reference: Behavioral science supports that clarity in marking the correct behavior leads to better learning outcomes. Both verbal and clicker markers have been studied and shown to be highly effective. Adolescence is often marked by testing boundaries in dogs. What strategies can a trainer use to mitigate regression in learned behaviors during this stage? Answer: During adolescence, dogs often test boundaries, exhibiting more rebellious or inconsistent behavior. Trainers should use consistent reinforcement to encourage desired behaviors and prevent regression. It's important to continue rewarding the dog for following commands even if they start to show signs of ignoring them. Introducing more mental stimulation, such as puzzle toys or scent work, can help manage the dog's increased energy levels and focus their attention constructively. Training sessions should remain frequent with a mix of familiar commands and more challenging tasks to keep the dog engaged. A structured routine can also help provide the consistency that adolescent dogs crave. Training should also be patient and flexible, adapting to the dog's changing needs and mood. Guideline reference. Studies show that consistency and positive reinforcement are crucial in managing adolescent behavior, helping prevent long-term behavioral issues. What are the potential pitfalls of relying too heavily on lure and reward training, and how can a trainer transition from luring to reinforcing behavior without a lure? Answer. The primary pitfall of relying on lure and reward training is that the dog may become dependent on the lure, expecting it for every command. This can lead to a lack of independent behavior and an inability to respond when the lure is no longer present. To prevent this, trainers should gradually fade out the lure once the dog has learned the behavior. Instead of continuously using the lure, the trainer can substitute it with verbal cues or hand signals and reward the dog for performing the desired action. The trainer should then intermittently reward the dog to reinforce the behavior, ensuring the dog understands that the reward is not always tied to the lure but to the behavior itself. This helps the dog learn to respond independently. Guideline reference. Positive reinforcement research indicates that fading the lure helps establish long-lasting, reliable behavior, ensuring the dog is not reliant on external cues. Mr. Jacob's dog Max has a fear of vacuums, which disrupts training sessions. How can you desensitize Max to the vacuum in a way that minimizes stress and promotes positive association? Answer. To desensitize Max to the vacuum, Mr. Jacobs should first start by creating positive associations with the vacuum without turning it on. Place the vacuum in Max's environment and reward him with treats or play when he approaches it or even just observes it. Gradually increase the proximity to the vacuum, always rewarding calm behavior. And once Max is comfortable with the vacuum being present, Mr. Jacobs can start turning it on for short periods, initially from a distance, and progressively decrease the distance between Max and the vacuum while maintaining the reward system. Throughout the process, it's essential to go at Max's pace to avoid overwhelming him. Guideline reference. Desensitization and counter-conditioning techniques recommended by behavioral specialists help reduce fear-based responses and establish positive associations. What ethical considerations should a trainer keep in mind when using punishment-based techniques in dog training, and what alternatives should be prioritized for humane training? Answer. Punishment-based techniques can lead to fear, anxiety, and aggression in dogs, causing harm to the dog-human bond and sometimes worsening the behavior. Trainers must avoid methods that cause physical or emotional distress, as these can be unethical and counterproductive. Positive reinforcement-based methods, such as rewarding desired behaviors with treats, praise, or toys, are humane and more effective long-term. Trainers should also focus on redirecting undesirable behavior rather than punishing the dog. Using force-free methods, including click training, body language, and verbal cues, encourages trust and mutual respect between trainer and dog. Guideline reference. The American Kennel Club and leading behavioral experts stress the importance of using science-backed, force-free training methods to promote the dog's well-being and ensure effective learning. Define positive punishment and negative reinforcement. Explain the key differences between the two concepts with practical examples. Answer. Positive punishment involves adding an aversive stimulus immediately following a behavior to decrease the likelihood of the behavior occurring again. For instance, if a dog jumps on a guest and the trainer sprays water at the dog, an aversive stimulus, this may reduce the dog's tendency to jump on guests. Negative reinforcement, on the other hand, involves removing an aversive stimulus following a desired behavior to increase its occurrence. For example, if a dog is barking and stops barking when a trainer removes a mildly unpleasant sound like a beeping tone, this reinforces the quiet behavior. Key differences. Positive punishment adds something unpleasant, while negative reinforcement removes something unpleasant. Positive punishment aims to decrease a behavior, whereas negative reinforcement aims to increase a desired behavior. A relevant rule. Proper application of these principles should follow humane and ethical guidelines, such as those set by the Association of Professional Dog Trainers, apt to avoid unnecessary stress or harm to the animal. Explain the concept of shaping in dog training. How does it differ from chaining? Provide an example of when shaping might be used effectively. Answer. Shaping is a technique in which a trainer reinforces successive approximations of a desired behavior until the dog performs the complete behavior. It involves breaking the behavior into smaller steps and rewarding incremental progress. Chaining, on the other hand, involves teaching a sequence of behaviors where each step acts as a cue for the next. There are two types: forward chaining, starting with the first step and gradually adding subsequent steps. Backward chaining, starting with the final step and working backward. Example of shaping: teaching a dog to fetch a ball. Initially, the trainer might reward the dog for looking at the ball, then for approaching it, then touching it with its nose, and finally picking it up and bringing it back. Key difference: shaping focuses on developing a single complex behavior step by step, while chaining is about linking multiple discrete behaviors. Jessica, the dog trainer, is working with a client whose dog Max exhibits aggressive behavior toward other dogs during walks. Jessica observes that Max lunges and growls when other dogs come within 10 feet. The owner has been scolding Max, but the behavior persists. What steps should Jessica take to address this issue, and which techniques would be most effective? Answer: Jessica should employ desensitization and counter-conditioning to modify Max's aggressive behavior. First, she should gradually expose Max to other dogs at a distance greater than 10 feet, ensuring that Max feels safe. Over time, this distance can be reduced as Max becomes less reactive. This process helps Max adjust to the presence of other dogs without feeling threatened. Simultaneously, Jessica should use counter-conditioning. This involves pairing the presence of other dogs with something positive, like high-value treats. When Max sees another dog, Jessica should immediately offer a treat to shift his emotional response from fear or aggression to a positive one. Crucially, Jessica should advise the owner to stop scolding Max, as punishment can escalate aggression and cause anxiety. Instead, she should teach the owner to reinforce calm behavior with rewards. Jessica may also suggest using a calm leash technique and rewarding Max for appropriate responses. These strategies are in line with ethical training principles and guidelines from professional organizations like the American Veterinary Society of Animal Behavior (AVSAP). What is the difference between classical conditioning and operant conditioning in dog training? Provide examples to illustrate their applications. Answer: classical conditioning is a type of learning where a neutral stimulus is paired with an unconditioned stimulus to evoke a natural and voluntary response. For example, a trainer repeatedly rings a bell just before feeding a dog. Eventually, the dog will salivate when it hears the bell, even if no food is presented. This is the dog's conditioned response. In contrast, operant conditioning involves learning through consequences, where behaviors are influenced by reinforcements or punishments. If a dog sits on command and receives a treat, it is more likely to sit again in the future. Positive reinforcement. Alternatively, if a dog receives a mild shock for barking, it may stop barking. Positive punishment. The key difference lies in the type of behavior being modified. Classical conditioning involves involuntary, reflexive responses, while operant conditioning deals with voluntary behaviors that are influenced by rewards or punishments. Both methods are widely used in dog training, but operant conditioning is generally more applicable for teaching new behaviors, while classical conditioning is useful for modifying emotional responses like fear or excitement. Describe the concept of extinction in behavior modification. What challenges might arise during the extinction process, and how can they be managed? Answer: extinction in dog training occurs when a behavior that was previously reinforced is no longer rewarded, causing the behavior to decrease over time. For instance, if a dog used to get attention for jumping on people, but attention is no longer given when it jumps, the dog will eventually stop jumping. One challenge that may arise during extinction is the extinction burst, where the behavior temporarily increases in frequency or intensity before it begins to decrease. For example, a dog may jump even more when initially ignored, thinking it needs to escalate the behavior to get attention. Another challenge is spontaneous recovery, where the extinguished behavior reappears unexpectedly. To manage these challenges, trainers should remain consistent in not reinforcing the undesirable behavior and avoid reacting to the initial increase in behavior frequency. Additionally, it's helpful to reinforce alternative behaviors, such as rewarding the dog for sitting calmly. Over time, as the undesirable behavior is ignored and the alternative behavior is reinforced, the dog will learn to display the new behavior. This approach is supported by the American Kennel Club Act guidelines, which emphasize consistency and positive reinforcement as central principles in effective behavior modification. What are calming signals in canine communication, and why is it important for trainers to recognize them? List 3 examples. Answer: calming signals are subtle, non-aggressive behaviors that dogs use to communicate their desire for peace and to reduce tension. Recognizing these signals is vital for trainers because they can indicate when a dog is stressed, anxious, or uncomfortable, allowing the trainer to adjust their approach to avoid escalating the situation. Examples of calming signals include lip licking. A dog may lick its lips when feeling nervous or anxious, even if there's no food present. Yawning. Dogs often yawn when they are stressed or need to calm themselves. Turning the head away. This is a clear sign that the dog wants to disengage from the situation and is feeling uncomfortable. By identifying these signals, trainers can intervene early to prevent anxiety or aggressive behavior, it's important to avoid pushing the dog beyond its comfort zone, which aligns with the American Veterinary Society of Animal Behavior (AVSAB) recommendation to recognize and respect the dog's emotional boundaries during training. Discuss the ethical considerations in using desensitization and flooding techniques. When might one technique be preferred over the other? Answer: both desensitization and flooding are techniques used to reduce fear or anxiety in dogs, but they differ significantly in approach and ethical considerations. Desensitization involves gradual exposure to a feared stimulus at a low intensity, allowing the dog to become accustomed to it at their own pace. This method is generally considered more ethical because it respects the dog's emotional limits and avoids overwhelming the dog with fear. Flooding, in contrast, exposes the dog to the feared stimulus in its full intensity for an extended period, forcing the dog to confront its fear. This can lead to extreme stress or trauma, especially if the dog is not prepared for such intense exposure, making flooding a more controversial and potentially unethical approach. Desensitization is generally preferred because it allows for a more humane, gradual adjustment. The American Kennel Club and other organizations recommend desensitization over flooding to avoid unnecessary distress and promote positive behavior change without causing harm. What are the indicators of stress in canine body language? Provide 5 examples. Answer: stress in dogs can manifest through various body language cues. Recognizing these signs is essential for trainers to intervene before the dog becomes overwhelmed or exhibits more extreme behaviors like aggression. Indicators of stress include ears pinned back. When a dog's ears are flattened against its head, it may be feeling stressed, frightened, or defensive. Tail tucked. A dog that tucks its tail between its legs is often displaying fear or anxiety. Dilated pupils. Stress can cause a dog's pupils to dilate, indicating arousal or fear. Excessive panting. While panting is normal, excessive panting without physical exertion can signal stress. Pacing or restlessness. A stressed dog may pace or exhibit restless behavior as a sign of unease. Understanding these stress signals helps trainers take a proactive approach, adjusting their training methods to avoid overwhelming the dog and ensure a positive learning experience. This aligns with ethical training principles outlined by the Association of Professional Dog Trainers at. David's dog Luna growls when strangers approach her during walks. David wants to address this but is unsure how to proceed without punishing Luna. What strategies should David and the trainer use to address Luna's growling? Answer: David should focus on positive reinforcement and behavior modification techniques. To address Luna's growling, he should first avoid punishment as it can escalate fear and aggression. Instead, David and the trainer should use desensitization to gradually expose Luna to strangers at a safe distance where she does not feel threatened. Over time, this distance can decrease as Luna becomes more comfortable. Simultaneously, counter-conditioning can be used by associating the presence of strangers with positive experiences, like offering treats when Luna remains calm. This shifts her emotional response from fear to anticipation of rewards. Additionally, David should practice calm leash handling to prevent Luna from becoming overaroused when encountering strangers. This will help keep Luna's behavior under control during walks and teach her how to behave appropriately. These methods are consistent with guidelines from the American Veterinary Society of Animal Behavior (AVSAB), emphasizing humane and gradual behavior modification techniques to ensure Luna's emotional well-being. Explain the difference between desensitization and counter-conditioning. Why are they often used together in behavior modification? Answer: desensitization involves gradual exposure to a feared or anxiety-inducing stimulus at a low intensity, allowing the dog to become accustomed to it over time. For example, a dog that is fearful of loud noises might initially be exposed to soft, low-volume recordings of thunder, gradually increasing the volume as the dog becomes more comfortable. Counter-conditioning is the process of changing the dog's emotional response to a stimulus by associating it with something positive, like treats or play. For example, a dog that is scared of other dogs can be given treats when it sees another dog from a distance, helping the dog develop a more positive association. These two techniques are often used together because they complement each other. Desensitization helps reduce the dog's fear of the stimulus, while counter-conditioning changes the emotional response from negative to positive. Together, they offer a comprehensive approach to behavior modification, aligning with ethical dog training practices that prioritize the dog's emotional well-being.